Ahmet, Prime Minister Davutoglu there being thrown some very tough questions, not least about the media, social media, freedom of speech and the Kurdish minority.
Yes, although the main subject was the refugees, one of the last questions was about the Kurdish minorities and the rights of the Kurds in Turkey. Prime Minister Davutoglu responded to that question by saying that Kurds in Turkey have been actually arrested for even listening to Kurdish music or reading books in Kurdish during the 80s and 90s, and now he speaks to the Kurdish people, minorities, when we visit the area to them in Kurdish as best as possible, as much as he knows. And he pointed out that the rights, as far as the minority rights are concerned, Kurds in Turkey are in a lot better position today than they were 10, 20 years ago.
Prime Minister Ahmet Davutoglu used a large part of his speech to talk about the migration crisis. As you mentioned there, Ahmet, he spoke about Turkey having an open door policy. What else did he say?
Well, he was criticized for actually keeping the borders closed for a new wave of refugees after the Assad regime's offense on rebel-held areas. Another wave of tens of thousands of refugees were headed towards Turkey, and Turkey was criticized for not letting them in. But Davutoglu said we already had 2.7 million refugees in Turkey, almost 300,000 of them in refugee camps. They are all being provided healthcare, education. Turkey spent around $8 billion for the refugees so far. And what difference another 100,000 refugees will make, he said. We will have no problem with letting in more refugees, and we'll keep them here as long as possible. We're not going to force them to go back unless there is a free regime, a new regime in Turkey, in Syria, I'm sorry.
He also spoke about terrorism. Of course, Turkey has had a number of terrorist attacks this year alone, and mentioned that it was important to fight the terror of ISIS, also known as Daesh.
Davutoglu reiterated that to be able to defeat Daesh, we need to solve the problem in Syria. We need to have a free, brand new constitution in Syria. We need to have a transition that will include all the sects in all the political parties, all the ethnic groups in Syria, and have free elections. After that, he said, we will be able to defeat Daesh. And he also pointed out that the European Union isolated the countries in the Middle East. They didn't carry out their responsibilities, and also he slammed on European Union countries for not being sincere against Turkey when Turkey is attacked by PKK and its affiliations in Ankara. A couple of 3 attacks took place in Ankara, and he said we provided the Western countries, European Union countries, with the necessary information that proves the link between those affiliated groups to PKK and PYD, and the West trying to legalize PYD, Davutoglu said, is no different than trying to legalize Daesh.
Okay, Ahmet Hamdi Sisman in Ankara, thank you.